Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Chris Flaherty and Robert Paris, Peter Brown with the weather, Jolie Atwood with the community calendar, and Liz Gillespie with sports. Thank you for joining us. After some lengthy discussion on Monday night, Burlington Town Meeting voted to pass the fiscal year 2022 operating budget. The budget came in at $152,291,800. There's a lot of numbers there. Made up from $39,821,000 for the town, $57,137,000 for the schools, and $55,333,000 for accommodated accounts. Town Administrator Paul Sagarino said it was a difficult year to create the budget due to a lack of local receipts, including meals and hotel tax and fees from building permits due to the pandemic. He said all department heads worked closely with the town's financial team and Ways and Means to meet the budget standards set early in the process. These standards included a blended increase between the town and the schools of 3.25%, with town government increasing by 3% and the school department budget increasing by 3.5%. Ways and Means Chairman Stephen Warren agreed that this was a particularly difficult year for the budget process, but he said the town will maintain level services throughout the year. Warren added that there are signs of hope as more businesses are continuing to reopen at greater capacity, but there are still some unknowns that the town's financial leaders have to consider. After a good amount of discussion and debate, town meeting voted to approve roughly $2.7 million in capital projects for the town and the schools. Some of the projects that were the focus of discussion included $50,000 for new voting machines, $399,000 for 3 vehicle replacements for the DPW, including a pickup truck, a dump truck with plow, and a 10-wheeler with plow. A new roof for the Burlington Public Library also garnered some discussion. The article was $350,000, but this is in addition to the $220,000 passed by town meeting in 2019. After an initial roof project was delayed until HVAC units were installed on it, and during that work, the extent of the damage was discovered to be greater than originally thought. It is also expected that the skylight will be replaced and be outfitted with new insulation that meets new requirements for the roof replacement. Another project that garnered a debate was a large shade structure to provide shade for the playground at Wildwood Park. The cost of the project was $45,000. The rationale there was because it's so wide open and the sun beats on the equipment. For a good part of the summer, the equipment is unusable for little children. Recreation Committee Chair David Norton and Parks and Recreation Department Director Brendan Egan that this playground gets no shade at all during that period. They also said that more residents have been taking advantage of the town's playgrounds, with the Wildwood being one of the more popular, and encouraging children to get out and play after a year of being cooped up due to the pandemic is, they argued, very important. Finally, the largest capital project of the year was $725,000 to replace the turf and resurface the track at Varsity Field at Burlington High School. School Department Director of Operations, Bob Cuna, explained that even if one section of the field failed a test, this by coming in too high in impact, the entire field would be unusable for any official school uses, including sports and events. There were some arguments to switch to real grass instead of artificial turf. The argument against that included the cost of upkeep, the fact that a single game during wet conditions could lead to damage, and that many more people than just school athletes use the field, and a grass field more easily wears down. The proposed project was passed by town meeting. A discussion about the proposed Fox Hill School project, which has been reported by BNews. The Burlington School Department has submitted an application to the Massachusetts School Building Authority for funds to replace Fox Hill Elementary, and the application has been cleared through the first round of the process. One option that has been raised early on was the possibility of combining the Fox Hill and Pine Glen students into one building at the Fox Hill site. This possibility raised concerns among members of the community with children in both schools and people in the Fox Hill neighborhood. On Tuesday, Superintendent Dr. Eric Conti and Director of Operations Bob Kuna outlined the plans to move forward with hiring an owner's project manager and setting up a school building committee to evaluate the project as a whole, with this option included. They argued that no option should be left on the table this early in the process. Some members of the school committee, most notably Christine Monaco and Martha Simon, argued that the decision of whether to merge the two schools should be made earlier and before bringing in a full committee. Here is Christine Monaco saying that she could make the decision now based on what they already know.
I mean, I think it's such a bad idea that I wouldn't even be talking about it if I had the choice. A, the school would be way too big. B, there would be way too much traffic in the neighborhood. And I don't really understand why we're pursuing it. I mean, Martha and I don't always agree on everything, but we definitely agree on this one. As far as I'm concerned, this is a Fox Hill project and Pine Glen will be a separate project.
The school committee will continue to discuss the project at future meetings. BHS sophomore Thomas Gallagher and junior Kara Martin have made a huge accomplishment in the Burlington DECA program. Kara Martin was elected as a state officer for the Mass DECA, and Gallagher was placed in the top world entrepreneurship. In addition, he also received international DECA awards. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris has this report.
Two Burlington High School students have accomplished something within the Distributive Education Clubs of America organization. Sophomore Thomas Gallagher was placed in the top 10 at the World Entrepreneurship Competition.
So in a normal year when we would have our competition, we would be given a role play by the organization, and we'd have around 10 minutes to prepare for it and then 10 minutes to talk with judges. But this year we had to do it virtually. So we would make videos at our house and then we would post them to YouTube and submit them as part of our competition. And so we had our district level, and then I was lucky enough to make it to states in second place. And then at states, I made it to nationals again at second place. And then we went through the same type of making videos and then posting them to YouTube. And then I made a finalist, and then I would have a Zoom meeting with a judge, and I would talk directly with them instead of it being pre-recorded.
Gallagher also received numerous DECA awards.
It was really awesome. I thought I worked really hard to get there. It was a tough competition. It was really hard actually to do it at home and to miss out on not only going to a district competition and a state competition, but especially not being able to go to California, which would have been a really fun trip. But it was still awesome that I was able to get these great awards.
Burlington High also has a new MA DECA state officer, and she is the first state officer from Burlington. Junior Kara Martin.
So this year I was lucky enough to be elected as a Massachusetts DECA state officer. So in a normal year we'd be at our states conference in Boston. This year it sort of took a little bit of different format due to COVID. So we had our own Instagram accounts, and basically we would create our own Instagram posts about who we were and what we wanted to do for the club, for the association. And then we would also be in Zoom calls with different delegates from across the state. And so they would just get to vote and sort of meet us and see who we are in sort of an online format.
DECA advisors Krista Anderson and Danielle Truvy couldn't be prouder of Thomas's and Kara's achievements they have made.
We're so proud of Thomas Gallagher, who's class of 23, and Kara Martin, who's class of 22. What they accomplished is phenomenal because they really stand out. They stand out from the rest of the pack, both within the state and actually nationally. Both of them ended up being national competitors this year. What we're proud about for Kara Martin, she is a junior this year, going to be a senior. She ran for state officer within Massachusetts, which means she gets to run the club of Mass DECA. There's 6,000 participants in DECA in Massachusetts, and she's actually one of the leaders to run that this year, so we're very excited about that.
Just to see Thomas and our other students persevere through all the challenges that they've seen this year. So the fact that he was able to overcome these hurdles and jump leaps and bounds, especially as a sophomore, over what some of our highest producing students ever have is very impressive. Well, Kara Martin is, I think we checked this, the first state officer that we've had at Burlington High School. Yet again, another super great achievement from a super great student that we've had. We saw Kara freshman year, and she was always on board to help out and take part and be as involved as she could, which we highlighted her as leadership potential, which is why we brought her on our leadership team sophomore year. And I think from the time she went to states as a freshman, she knew that state officer was something that was going to be in her future. So we're really glad to see her achieve it.
From Burlington High School, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Burlington High School's Senior Night Under the Stars event has been canceled or postponed, at least for now. Superintendent Conti said during Tuesday's school committee meeting that after speaking with Principal Mark Sullivan, he believes the event is more likely postponed than canceled. He also clarified that the Board of Health and Health Director Susan Luminello have worked very closely with the schools and were in touch with the state about the event, and it was state guidelines that prompted the decision to hold off on the event at this time. Here's Dr. Conti.
I think we just have to make sure that what we're planning follows guidelines. So we're working with the Board of Health, and I think that we can have a very successful event. And I also know the state is changing their guidelines on May 29th. So many of my colleagues who I'm speaking with have pushed their events until after May 29th. So Sarah, I think you might be able to have a better event with fewer restrictions after May 29th anyway.
Superintendent Conti also said the state is changing the COVID-19 guidelines starting on May 29th, and that will see fewer restrictions on outdoor gatherings. He's considering the week of June 6th for the ceremony. The BHS Performing Arts are heading to the stage, but for this year's play, the stage will be outside. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty went to check on a rehearsal and has this look.
After nearly a year and a half without live theater, Burlington High School is bringing a new musical production to audiences with a twist. Cast and crew are now preparing their adaptation of Into the Woods Jr., an abbreviated version of the Stephen Sondheim James Lapine musical, which was brought to life on film by Walt Disney Pictures in 2014. For a more immersive viewing experience and in correspondence to state health guidelines, Into the Woods is heading out of the Fogelberg Auditorium for an outdoor theatrical production.
Of course, we wanted to do a musical, and obviously the pandemic changed everybody's plans, and the idea came up of doing an outdoor musical. Then the wheels started turning, and so I walked around the building here in the middle of winter with snow and took a lot of pictures and videos trying to scout out the best location, and we eventually arrived right back here in our backyard from the music wing.
Into the Woods sees classic fairy tale characters both old and new crossing paths as they head into the titular woods to achieve their respective dreams.
What kind of drew me to the role of the baker's wife is she's kind of like the humorous one in the show compared to everybody else, and I just love her characters kind of felt like homey and very comfortable, and I really like playing her.
What really got me attracted to the role of the baker, he's just a fun-loving character. I think the audience would love him. He's kind of like that the typical husband that bickers with his wife, which I think is really funny in this sense.
I don't know what it is, but I just felt like there was just something about Jack, and it reminded me of myself when I was going through the script and I was reading his lines. I was like, hey, that kind of sounds like something I would say or something like that.
I play Jack's mother. I saw the movie Into the Woods and I really liked it, and I was attracted to my role because I love playing the mom role. It's just something I've always loved, so.
I play Cinderella. I had watched the movie and I really liked, her voice is soprano, and I just really liked the character.
Transitioning the entire production outdoors has provided a unique set of challenges for the stage crew.
The lighting is seriously different, where the fact that instead of just the auditorium is already dark, we have to wait till the sun goes down, and all of our electronics have to be moved outside. So there's a lot of planning that went in place weeks before we've even started building the outdoor stage.
And from a sound perspective, we don't have any established systems out here. We don't have any of those big speakers that we have in the auditorium. So we're pulling them out from everywhere we can. We're taking every cable we can find, every microphone, and we built a sound system from scratch, essentially, and rebuilt it out here.
While social distancing has changed how rehearsals look this year, everyone is excited to have live theater back at BHS.
It's really exciting.
It's great.
I definitely, even though social distancing and masks are in place and everything, I am very excited to be doing the musical this year.
I'm so happy we actually get to do it.
When we started, we got permission and we were able to get together safely and start to work on a show. It's like we all came back to life and we have this renewed energy and motivation. It's really been wonderful to see that.
As opening night approaches, the team behind Into the Woods Junior hopes the community can enjoy and escape into a long overdue night at the theater.
This is probably going to be, for many, the first production that they've seen after COVID began, so I just hope that they, enjoy it a lot and are happy to be back and seeing theater.
I hope we get a sense of community and joy from this. This is a production that's been in the making for a while.
Art perseveres throughout struggle, and art can adapt to anything that we really put our minds to. It's just we have to be willing to put in the work to do it.
They're going to take away a joy of seeing high school students performing again and singing and dancing. Live theater is back, and that energy is so transferable from the stage to live audience members. It's something you don't get over the screen. So that's something that's real and it's tangible. We're excited to bring it back.
Into the Woods Junior opens Friday, May 21st, with additional performances May 22nd through the 23rd and the 28th through the 30th. Visit burlingtontheater.com for ticket sales and additional information. Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty with your BNEWS Entertainment Buzz.
The Burlington Board of Selectmen voted to allow lights in support of the LGBTQ community on the town common and accepted a new sculpture for the sculpture park during a short meeting before town meeting on Monday. Selectman Nick Priest said he, other board members, and the town administration had received a number of requests to fly the LGBTQ flag on the town common during June, which is Pride Month. He explained during the meeting that the town is currently working on a flag policy for the town common and expects to have it completed and hopefully a new citizen flagpole in place later this year. However, those discussions are still going on and the policy has not yet been set. Selectman Priest said one of the residents suggested lighting the common in rainbow colors instead as a way to mark Pride Month, and everyone agreed that was a good alternative. Other members of the board said they're in favor of the suggestion and agreed that it would be better to get a flag policy in place before allowing any flags to be raised in the chance a group the town doesn't want to be represented on the town common makes a request. The board voted 5-0 to allow the town common to be lit from June 1st to June 30th in honor of Pride Month. The Burlington Garden Club works hard to maintain planters and other plantings around the town common and municipal buildings. BNEWS Director Rich Hosford spoke to a couple of members about the club and has this look.
If you've driven or walked by the town common, the Burlington Public Library, the Recreation Department, and other places in town, you have likely noticed planters filled with seasonal vegetation, nicely placed trees, well-adorned flower beds, and other plant life adding to the beauty of Burlington. These are the works of the Burlington Garden Club, a group of garden enthusiasts who dedicate themselves to making the town look more lively and verdant. The club has monthly meetings where they share gardening tips, listen to guest speakers, conduct workshops, and plan activities such as last year's garden contest, when to make outings for new plantings, programs with the library, recreation, and other entities, and more. They do it as a service to the town and for the opportunity to spend time with dear friends doing what they love.
We are proud of where we live, and we are proud of the efforts that we put into trying to keep things looking nice. We've developed a lot of really great friendships over the years, and some of the women have been in the garden club for 35, 40 years. And it's kind of like our own little family.
And every time you come to one of these events that you're putting things together, you learn something. You know, you may know something about one plant, and they'll say, "Oh, I've never seen that plant," and you'll teach somebody else about it. So it's like a give and take. We teach people and we learn it, and you know, we all have our own gardens pretty much at home, but we just like to get together and do a gardening for the town.
You know, we have coffee and tea and a few little desserts, and it's just a very it's really nice. You get to catch up with everybody and, you know, find out what their families are doing and that kind of thing. It's a nice social time.
The work of the club is noticed and appreciated by members of the community.
Yeah, a lot of times if we're working on one of them, people will go by and they'll beep and they'll say nice job, and they really appreciate it, and that's what we feed off that.
The club also gives out a $500 scholarship to a Burlington student preparing to study a field related to environmental sciences, and they provide funds to the Burlington Science Center to support activities related to plants and gardening as a way to get students more interested in nature.
We feel as though we're helping the kids out learn something and make them more interested in nature and in the environment.
Trying to get the younger people involved.
Finally, Carolyn and Ruth say gardening has been a lifelong activity that they love to share with the community.
When I was younger, my father always wanted to have a garden, but he didn't want to do the work. So he let me go and plant things and take things up. And so when I got my house and when I got married and moved into Burlington, I just started changing. The lot that we bought was in the sun and had nothing on it. There were like 4 trees behind the house. So since then, I've probably put up 50 trees.
I've loved gardening since I was young, so it's something I enjoy doing. I mean, it can be a lot of work. Sometimes it's frustrating because you're either dealing with bugs or animals, but it's definitely, when something comes up and it looks beautiful, there's nothing more satisfying than that.
To learn more about the club and its activities, visit their Facebook page at Burlington Garden Club, Burlington MA, or their website at burlingtongardenclub.com. From the Burlington Town Common, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
Okay, those planters that you see are post-winter planters and will be updated and replanted and reinvigorated this weekend, as a matter of fact. So when you see them next week, they will be beautiful. Hike Beautiful Billerica is an outdoor recreation Facebook group that focuses on camaraderie and local history around Billerica and Burlington's conservation lands and open spaces. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak went for a hike with the group and files this report.
In an effort to help get residents back out and about, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department has been holding a series of walks at Burlington's open spaces and conservation areas.
Across the bridge.
Led by Marlise Henderson, a certified interpreter guide with the National Association of Interpreters, who train to connect with an audience and promote awareness of resources.
Poison ivy is a pest. It's not an invasive, but it is a pest.
On this particular walk, we visited the Sawmill Brook Conservation Area.
Gives you a little bit more confidence.
Participants of all ages enjoyed what can be a casual stroll through the woods or a more challenging hike through some more rugged terrain.
No, we do not have.
As the name suggests, the land also holds historical significance as Burlington's last surviving water-powered mill. Marked by not only historical sites, the walk took us through the living quarters of the land's former residents. Visit the Burlington Parks and Rec website for further events and to see pictures and learn more about local areas for nature walks and hiking. Visit the Hike Beautiful Billerica Facebook page. From the Sawmill Brook Conservation Area Trail, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
Just go on the other side of the tree.
Goodbye Island Creek Oyster Bar, Hello Row 34. This past Saturday, the high-end seafood restaurant Row 34 opened its doors in the former location of Island Creek in the district. The ownership will stay the same, but when proposing the change, they said the Row 34 brand was more consistent with other existing restaurants in their portfolio. This is the third 34 location, with the others being in Boston and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. According to plans filed with the town, the seat count and seat layout would not be altered, as the interior changes are mostly cosmetic in nature. There is little information on the history of the restaurant or its philosophies or approaches to food preparation. The only thing in the About Us section is that we're Row 34. If we could eat oysters and drink beer for every meal period, we probably would. The sports season is in full swing, and for the latest Red Devil action, we go now to BNews sports reporter Liz Gillespie for this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, I'm Liz Gillespie, and this is your weekly sports report. It was a busy week for spring sports, and we have the scoop on how everyone's doing. Girls tennis had their home opener against Wilmington on Saturday, May 8th at Rahanis Park. The Red Devils defeated the Wildcats with the same score from the first meet of 5-0. They faced the Stoneham Spartans on Tuesday, May 11th at Rahanis, where another 5-0 win was made. Burlington had another victory against the Stoneham Spartans on Thursday, May 13th. The Devils moved to 4-0 on the season and will face Wakefield on Tuesday, May 18th at Rahanis. Boys tennis headed to Wilmington on Saturday, May 8th for a matchup against the Wildcats. The Red Devils were close in the match but fell short by a score of 2-3. Then they had a meet against the Stoneham Spartans on Tuesday, May 11th. The team was 5-0 in the matches and moved to 1-2 in the season. The boys had a home meet against the Stoneham Spartans on Thursday, May 13th at Rahanis. The team moves to 2-2 after the 5-0 win and will face Wakefield on Tuesday, May 18th. Both outdoor track teams had their home opener against the Stoneham Spartans on Tuesday, May 11th. Girls varsity bounced back from the week ago as they defeated the Spartans 75-61. The boys had a big win over the Stoneham with a final score of 133-3. The girls moved to 1-1 and the boys are 2-0. The teams will face Wakefield Warriors on Tuesday, May 8th at Varsity Field. This meet will be live streamed on the BCAT TV Facebook page at 4 p.m. Girls lacrosse had their home opener on Saturday, May 8th at Varsity Field against Wilmington. We have some highlights. The Red Devils girls lacrosse team had their home opener on Saturday, May 8th at Varsity Field against the Wilmington Wildcats. Let's get to the action. In the first half, the Red Devils were able to score 5 goals, while the Wildcats were only able to score 3. Here are some of the goals. Halftime score, 5-3 Red Devils. During the second half, the Red Devils picked up the pace and scored 11 more goals. Wilmington was only able to add an additional 3 goals. Final score, 16-6 Burlington. The team then hosted the Stoneham Spartans on Wednesday, May 12th, and we go to those highlights. The Burlington girls lacrosse team had a home game against the Stoneham Spartans at Varsity Field on Wednesday, May 12th. Let's get to the field. In the first quarter alone, Burlington scored 6 goals, while Stoneham scored none. By the half, Stoneham was able to get on the board and made 3 goals, while Burlington scored an additional 3 as well. Halftime score was 9-3 Burlington. During the third quarter, Burlington made 6 more goals, and at the end of the fourth, the Red Devils were able to score 4 final goals. The final score was 19-3 Burlington. Burlington moves to 3-0 on the season and will head to Stoneham to take on the Spartans on Saturday, May 15th. Boys lacrosse headed to Wilmington to face the Wildcats for their first away meet of the season. The Red Devils came out of Wilmington with a 14-4 victory. The team then traveled to Stoneham for a matchup with the Spartans on Wednesday, May 12th. Burlington shut out the Spartans 13-0 and will face them again on Saturday, May 15th at Varsity Field. This game will be live streamed on the BCAT TV Facebook page at 10 a.m. The team moves to 3-0 on the season. Red Devil Baseball traveled to Wilmington on Saturday, May 8th to face the Wildcats in their second meeting of the season. The Red Devils managed to score 10 runs in the game. However, the Wildcats beat them to it with 17. The final score was 17-10. The team was on the road again on Tuesday, May 11th to take on Stoneham. Burlington lost the game 7-2 and will face the Spartans again on Saturday, May 15th at Francis Wyman. The Red Devils dropped to 0-3 on the season. Girls varsity softball had their home opener against the Wilmington Wildcats on Saturday, May 8th at Marvin Field. The Red Devils managed to score 6 runs in the game, while the Wildcats had 8. 8-6 was the final. The team then hosted the Stoneham Spartans on Tuesday, May 11th. We have some highlights. Burlington girls softball hosted the Stoneham Spartans for their second home game of the season at Marvin Field on Tuesday, May 11th. To start off the first inning, the Spartans were at bat and quickly struck out. At Burlington's first opportunity, they earned their first run. Burlington stepped up to the plate during the bottom of the second and brought the score up to 8-0. The Red Devils scored an additional run in the bottom of the third and finished off the game with 5 more runs during the bottom of the fourth.
We put the ball in play. We were able to move, runners stealing bases, and just an all-around great effort.
The final score was 14-0 Burlington. Boys wrestling had their home opener against the Lexington Minutemen on Tuesday, May 11th at Varsity Field. This was the first outdoor duel in team history. The team then faced Winchester on Thursday, May 13th at Varsity Field. Burlington finished the meet with a 36-30 victory. The team moves to 2-0 on the season and will face the Belmont Marauders on Tuesday, May 18th. This meet will be live streamed on the BCAT TV Facebook page at 7:30 p.m. Boys indoor swimming had a virtual meet against Winchester on Saturday, May 8th. As of this taping, the results have not been posted. For more Red Devil action, go to the BNEWS Sports section at bcattv.org and check out our Twitter page at BNEWS Sports. That's all for your weekly sports report. I'm Liz Gillespie. Back to you guys in the studio.
We go now to BNews weatherman Peter Brown for a look at the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Jolie Atwood to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone. This is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. Here we are heading into the middle of May. We are actually only a couple of weeks away from the start of meteorological summer. I know it's hard to believe that we're actually looking forward towards the summertime again. We had a long slog there through the winter time. Wasn't too bad, but it was pretty chilly there a bit. And this spring actually, unfortunately, hasn't been really that mild. We've really had some cool and damp weather, especially over the past couple of weeks or so. And starting out with a look at our almanac here, on Friday we're going to see temperatures finally average for this time of the year, which at this time of the year should be around 70. And that's what we're probably going to be seeing out there. Now, it looks like those temperatures might take a dip as we head towards the weekend, as we get some unsettled weather with rain showers coming back in here. But as we round out the period, getting towards the Thursday time frame, our average highs should be getting into the low 70s, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit cooler than average as we head towards the end of the period. So, nothing crazy, of course. That's what we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks, and of course, you notice the days keep getting longer and longer, and actually next Friday, we're actually going to be seeing the sun setting just before 8, so the days are really long now as we head towards the end of spring. Now, as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us here in the Burlington area in terms of temperatures and precipitation. Now, in our temperature map, I'm not really seeing this in the models right now as I was putting the forecast together. They're calling for us to see at or slightly above average temperatures. We'll have to see if that really comes to fruition, but for right now, it looks like we're going to be staying at or slightly below, at least from what I've been seeing on the models and everything like that. It doesn't really look like we're going to be having any real warm spells coming our way. As we take a look at our precipitation chances, it looks like they are expecting us to have below average precipitation here in the Burlington area and for most of New England. Again, we'll have to see if that pans out as well. Looks like we might be just getting more in the way of some unsettled showers in terms of rain. Doesn't look like we're going to be having any big organized systems this week. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at that 7 days of weather coming up. Again, pretty pleasant out there on Friday. Temperatures up near 70 again with sunny skies, a couple of fair weather clouds. Now as we head into the Saturday and Sunday time, looks like we're going to be seeing the chance of some spotty showers. This again is because of some very cold air above us, and whenever that sun, that strong sun at this time of the year, heats the ground up. As soon as that heat starts to rise, it causes a lot of fair weather clouds to bubble up, and that can bring the chance of some small downpours here and there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, and those, of course, will bring the temperatures way down because of how dry the air is still going to be. As we go into the start of the work week, looks like we're going to keep the unsettled weather with us, with a little bit of a nice spell coming up into the Tuesday and Wednesday time. And as we get in again towards the end of the week, again, temperatures a little bit below average is what it's looking like right now, with the chance of some spotty showers coming back into the picture again. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
I'm Jolie Atwood, and this is your community calendar. Enjoy an evening with bubbles. On Wednesday, May 19th at 6 p.m., the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having an event called Mr. Vinny the Bubble Guy. The event will be held at the Town Common. The event is free, but pre-registration is required. To register, go to burlingtonrecreation.org or call 781-270-1695. Learn how to care for hydrangeas and why they are one of New England's favorites for all seasons. On Thursday, May 20th at 7 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a virtual event called Hip Hip Hydrangeas How To. Everyone is welcome and pre-registration is required. To register, go to burlingtonpubliclibrary.org or call 781-505-4985. Experience the surface design technique of shibori. On Saturday, May 22nd and Sunday, May 23rd, Lex Art will be having a class called Shibori Dyeing, held at the grounds of Lex Art at 130 Waltham Street in Lexington. Everyone is welcome and pre-registration is required. To register, go to lexart.org. I'm Jolie Atwood, and that was your community calendar.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo shows some backyard wildlife. It was sent in by young Burlington resident Gwyneth McNamee, and it features a chipmunk in her backyard that she said was calm enough to let her get close enough for a photo. It's nice when nature poses for you. Thanks for the photo, Gwyneth. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your spring activities, a family trip, or just everyday moments post-COVID. Whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. And that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with Rich Hosford, Tad Stefanak, Chris Flaherty, Robert Paris, Peter Brown, Jolie Atwood, and Liz Gillespie. Thank you for joining us.